2024, the Major John Leroy Haynes Florida Veterans History Program was created to collect and preserve the stories and experiences of Florida's veterans and to recognize the state of Florida's military contribution throughout our nation's history. Through recorded interviews, the Florida Veterans History Program Oral History Collection acts as a living archive of first-hand accounts to capture the details of military service and the voices, memories, and reflections of the Floridians who served. The Major John Leroy Haynes Florida Veterans History Program is operated by the Department of State, Division of Arts and Culture's Florida Folklife Program. Together, we are proud to ensure that Florida's military history is preserved, honored, and shared. My name is Julian Duncan with the Florida Department of State, Division of Arts and Culture, Florida Folklife Program. Today is May 15th, 2025. Time is 4:06 p.m. and I'm interviewing Patrick C. Jackson in Miami, Florida. This interview is being conducted for the Major John Leroy Haynes Florida Veterans History Program and will additionally be submitted to the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson.
Great afternoon, Mr. Julian. How are you today?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
I am winning by the grace of God.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. So, to begin this interview, can you tell me where you grew up and a little bit about your early life?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be honored to do that. I'm originally was born in the beautiful St. Louis, Missouri, and I grew up in a place known as East St. Louis, Illinois. Very rough place. And however, I am grateful to be from there and grateful to have survived and then move forward with my life at a very young age, and so to do some great things.
Can you tell me a little bit about your parents, what they did, and what they were like?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be honored to do that. My first of all, my mother and father, they met while they were youngsters in high school. And my mother, she gave birth to me when she was 17 years of age. My mother, Mary, my father, Billy. My father, Billy, he's no longer with us. We're grateful for his life. My mother, Mary, she is still with us. I didn't know much about my father from the time that I did get a chance to see him growing up. I didn't allow that to become an excuse for me not becoming something in life. My mother initially, she was a phenomenal welder. She went to welding school and became a welder, and done that for several years, providing for her family. Grew up from a single family home, and from there she continued to do a wide variety of professions that she done extremely well, in which then she gave birth to my brother, Jason, and also to my sister, Tess. And we had no lack or need for anything. My mother was a great provider, and I'm very grateful for the gift that she is to many of us and that she remains.
What were you like as a child?
As a child, I was very outgoing. I love to work, and I love to make friends, and love to be involved. So I can recall, because I like to work and make money and earn money, that at a very young age we should have a local grocery store that allowed me to, after school and on the weekends, come in and bag up groceries, even though I wasn't an employee because I was too young. And what they allowed me to do is take those groceries to individuals' cars, and they, gave me a tip. So I would do that on some days. In addition to that, I started my own landscaping business at a very young age, in which I used to cut grass after school in the neighborhood and on weekends. And so because that was going so well, and I had so many yards to cut in between sports and other things I was doing, I actually hired three of my fellow classmates, and I had a lawnmower business at a very young age. I'm talking about from the ages of like 9 to 14. I had a lawnmower business. And if it was raining, I would go to the grocery store and bag groceries if I couldn't cut grass on those days. And I also, so that was the working aspect, but lived a normal life as any other kid. Played outdoors, made friends, played in elementary sports, middle school, high school, and at a very young age, at the age of 16, I had made up my mind that I wanted to become a United States Marine. So at 16, I was trying to join the Marine Corps.
And I'm sure they didn't let you join quite yet at 16.
No. They said, hey, young fella, you cannot join the Marine Corps at 16. Says you're going to have to wait until you're 17. And when you're 17, you're going to have to get what we call a parental consent. And then the parental consent on my 17th birthday, I remember that morning. My birthday is January the 9th. And on the morning of the 17th birthday, I woke up. I ran to the recruiting office because it was less than 10 minutes from my home. I got the paperwork. I brought it back to my mother. She signed the paperwork, allowing me to be able to take what's known as the ASVAB test, take the mental health, physical, and all those other things. And so shortly thereafter, after getting those documents to my recruiter, I was scheduled to go and do my ASVAB, physical, etc. I was able to succeed and pass all those things, and then I went into what we call back then the delayed entry program. And the delayed entry program, meaning this, I'm an 11th grader by then. All the seniors and the older young people that were older than me that were already preparing to go off to boot camp, I got a chance to train with them for up to a year to learn more about the Marine Corps, get in better physical shape, get myself mentally prepared, and that helped to change my life. And so by the time I graduated from high school in 1990, I remember, I say my last summer, like it was going to be my last summer to enjoy. I began working at the post office, and the United States Post Office, they wanted me to stay at the post office. However, I had already made a decision that I wanted to definitely become a Marine. And so September of 1990, I had the honor and joy of being shipped off to boot camp and to see if I could become a Marine.
So what made you attracted specifically to the Marine Corps, but also was there any kind of deciding moment when you were 16 that made you say that this is what I want to do? Or was it a slow process? Had you considered it much before as a child? Or?
Well, I come from a history and a family of service.
Okay.
Service to humanity, service to our country, service to our God. And I have, before me, I have uncles. Some of them are no longer with us, but they served in the United States Marine Corps. I think I have 3 uncles that served in the Marine Corps. I have a cousin that's older than me that also served in the Marine Corps. I have another cousin that served in the United States Navy, older than me. My grandfather, and I just have a legacy and history of men predominantly that have served in the United States Marine Corps and in the military, all branches from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, etc. And so that was interesting to me, that was appealing to me. And I've always kind of been formed and shaped to give back and to serve. And growing up in the community in which I was in, very violent, very rough. As a young black male, seeing a lot of high crime, a lot of black on black crime, kids killing one another at a very young age, a lot of gang violence, from gangs such as what I recall in the 80s, the Disciples and the Vice Lords. And those were not things that I wanted to be a part of. And so growing up in that community, I was looking for a way out, a way to do something with my life. I had made up my mind. I enjoy school, but I didn't feel that going to college at that particular point in time was going to be my best course of action. So I wanted something that was going to be more appealing, more challenging. And so from my family history of serving, I can recall I haven't seen this gentleman in over 40 years. I still remember his name, Sergeant Ronnie L. Dozier, United States Marine Corps recruiter, would come to our school and then the gymnasium, career day, career fair days, etc. And he was in those dress blue uniforms. I saw that. I got a chance to meet him. He began to share with me. In addition, I grew up in the church. I'm a man of faith, man of Christian faith and a believer, so I grew up in that perspective. He also shared with me while serving in the Marine Corps, he had a chance to kind of travel all around the world and also be a witness for Christ at the same time. That was something else that was very interesting, very appealing to me. As a young man, I had got called into the work of the ministry at the age of 14 as well. So the Marine Corps, travel, getting out of a challenging community, the potential of being able to share Christ with others around the world. I can also recall as a young man in athletics, I was a part of a group that was called the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and that we would meet on Fridays. So all those dynamics, all those things really appealed to me. And I was not as fat and weighty as I am now. Then I was much smaller, but though I love sports, I had people tell me, the Marine Corps? No way possible. You cannot become a Marine. That is too hard for you. Why would you want to be a Marine? They're just a bunch of killers. And never tell me that I can't do something. So that was something of a challenge put forth to me for me, myself, and also to share with others that there's nothing that I cannot do and I cannot succeed at being able to do.
So when you got to boot camp, did you go to Parris Island or did you go to San Diego?
I went to San Diego at that time because I was east of the Mississippi River. So they called me a Hollywood Marine.
Do you remember how you felt when you first got there and realized, here I am? What was that experience like adjusting to boot camp?
So it was a great adjustment. I can remember one of the first days at boot camp, we call it, when we get introduced to our drill instructors. And we are in what we call the squad bay, and the senior drill instructor is giving us the breakdown of what boot camp would become, what it would be like. And then he's calling out all of the men that would train us to become Marines. And it was very calm and seemingly. And then once the senior drill instructor released his drill instructors says take them and train them and make them into Marines, all hell broke loose. Yelling, screaming, things being thrown at you. Go over here, go over here, go over here. And it's just coming at you all different kind of ways, all kind of fast. Yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir. And so my biggest problem in the Marine Corps boot camp is I was always a jokester as a kid, and I was always a prankster. And I used to think that everything was funny and that I wanted to make everything funny and make people laugh. So that was a problem in the Marine Corps, is because The drill instructors are giving out orders and everyone is doing something, and smiling Jackson and laughing Jackson. Come here, recruit, Smiley. And so, because I was always trying to be a jokester, it was not a laughing matter, but that's was a problem. So in the Marine Corps boot camp, I learned how to get strong early, meaning that I had to get on the what we call the quarter deck. The quarter deck is getting sweaty, push-ups, sit-ups, being punished by the drill instructors in all aspects. And when I went to the Marine Corps in 1990, it was the year in which they were trying to ban something in Marine Corps boot camp, where in which prior to me entering that time, my uncles and others before me, the drill instructors could beat the recruits and get away with it. And so they were trying to end that process, but we would go into spaces that were very dark called the whiskey locker with a drill instructor. The whiskey locker is behind closed doors in a locker room. Nobody's there, and whatever happens with you and that drill instructor, and they're punishing you. But that was something they were trying to get rid of. But I made it through all of that, and I was able to earn the title of United States Marine.
How did that feel? I mean, you wanted to do this for years. You ran to the recruiter's office, getting to put that Eagle Globe and anchor on. Do you remember the feeling?
Till this day, some 35 years later, I still remember the joy, the feeling of accomplishment, of gratitude, of the feeling of at 18 feeling to being stripped from who I was, and the feeling and the making of being a man, and knowing that there was nothing that I could not do mentally, physically, and be able to accomplish after all of 90 days of just hell on earth. And so it gave me a sense of direction. It gave me joy that I accomplished what others said I could not do, and that's earning the title as a young United States Marine.
So after boot camp, what was your MOS and what training path was ahead of you?
Okay. My initial, after boot camp and going home for a short period of time, in the Marine Corps, no matter what your military occupational skill is, everyone is trained as a rifleman. And everyone is trained how to handle the rifle. Everyone is trained for combat regardless initially. And so we have what's called Marine combat training in the mountains and hills of California. And then after Marine combat training, and you go through all of those rigorous things and able to pass that, then after that you go off to your military occupational skill. And initially my MOS was in the administrative field. We call it an 0151. So I was an administrator in some perspective of learning the skill sets of all the different dynamics of administrative duties. And from there, after succeeding in my military occupational skill, I, with another young man that I haven't said his name in a long time, but now it's all refreshed, out of about 300 students that was in the classroom, we had our dream list, dream sheet, where places that we would desire to go if we could be stationed there, whether it was on the East Coast, West Coast, up north, overseas, etc. And they told us there are some locations that you don't even waste your time putting on your dream list because you're not going to get them. And so one of those places, myself and young PFC Small, we put that as our top list, and lo and behold, we were the only people in the class that put it on there, And lo and behold, I was honored and blessed. My first duty station was on the island of Honolulu on Oahu at a military base, Marine Corps called Kaneohe Bay Marine Corps Air Station. We call it K-Bay.
Nice. That's a great first posting.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
How long did you spend in Honolulu?
In Honolulu, I was there for a total of 3.5 years. And that is also where in which my military occupational skills, it constantly change. But I loved Kaneohe Bay so much. I love being stationed there. And I love the atmosphere. And though I had signed a contract for 4 years, in my first year being in the Marine Corps, I already had made my decisions that I wanted to sign up for 4 more years. So I did an early re-enlistment early. And there initially at my first duty station, which was called 1st Radio Battalion, I was what's called the orders clerk. And as the orders clerk, my responsibility is men and women who are Marines who are coming to Kaneohe Bay and to our 11th MEU as an orders clerk, or for those that were departing to go to their next, we call it PCS, Permanent Change of Station Orders. My responsibility was to make sure that all of their household goods, their travel pay, their advance pay, their families, all their household goods, all those things they got from one duty station to the next, that they got all of their investments, etc., to get to their next duty station. In addition, when they were inbound to our duty station, to get all of their travel pay, get all those things settled and make them comfortable and receive all their things appropriately. So that was my initial responsibility as an orders clerk. My MOS changed because of, we call it the Commanding General of Marine Forces Pacific, was at a base called Camp Smith in Hawaii as well, on Oahu. And I became what's known as a protocol driver for the Commanding General of Marine Forces Pacific. I remember General Stackpole and his Chief of Staff, Mr. Tony Wood. I haven't said these names in many years. And so from there, I moved from Kaneohe Bay to the other side of the island to Camp Smith, and worked in the Chief of Staff office for the Commanding General. And that was just distinguished duty that I had the opportunity to do, and stayed there in Hawaii for 3.5 years. And then my military occupational skill changed again. I got stationed at a base in Southern California in what's called Oceanside, known as Camp Pendleton. And I was there with a unit called the 11th MEU, 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, in which we had to be shipped off over to Kuwait in Iraq.
How did you get that special duty working with the in the chief of staff or the staff office? I mean, that seems like it would be very competitive.
Very competitive, and that you had to go before a board and to prove why you should be selected. And it was based upon what you had already accomplished in the Marine Corps, your ability to respond to orders, how you looked in uniform, were you physically fit, what was your educational things that you had already accomplished. And so then also a recommendation from your, like your sergeant major or your commanding officer of the unit. And so it was something that you had to apply for. Then you had to be chosen and then compete against other fellow Marines. And so I was the one that was selected for that. And that was such an honor to be able to do that.
That's awesome. So then your next station is Camp Pendleton, and you're sent to Kuwait on, was this like a 9-month deployment? Or was this...
So I was with the 11th MEU, my next duty station. I was going to be there for 3 years, but we are, as you're aware, the Marine Corps falls under the Department of the Navy, so the Navy boats ships are our transportation to get us to the theater of war and other hot zones and things of that nature. So we go on deployment. And those deployments could be anywhere from 3 months up to 9 months up to a year. And so I done, in the course of 3 years, I done 2 deployments to the Middle East. And those deployments were from 91 to 94. Yes. And while going to the Middle East, I have been to Kuwait, I've been to Jordan, Jebel Ali, Qatar, places that people now go all around the world. One of the most distinguished places, I'm drawing a blank for it, is one of the most distinguished places that's in the Middle East. That's a tourist destination spot. I'm drawing Dubai. So before there was a Dubai, I was in the deserts of where there was nothing, and then it became Dubai and things of that nature. So Jordan, Jebel Ali, Qatar, Yemen, Singapore, Sydney, Australia, Sydney, Perth, Australia, and so many other numerous places that some of that was visiting as like a port spot, and then some of that was training and doing the assignment of the combat that we had to do while there.
Were those experiences challenging?
The answer is absolutely extremely challenging, very stressful. I can recall being in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert, my 19th birthday. I can recall whatever birthday that was. I was on what we call, what is it called? I was on security guard. I can't, night patrol, whatever the term was that we were on at that time. Night watch, I think it was called, where in which you have to be responsible for a 4 to 6 hour watching while others are asleep. And, you know, the military puts a lot of responsibility on you at a very, very young age. And you had to grow up very fast. And so there I was fully loaded with all my weaponry, magazines, night vision goggles, every piece of equipment military equipment that I could possibly have. And if a Iraqi soldier crossed into the zone, it was my responsibility to either kill or be killed. And then I was the responsibility of all of the other Marines and Navies that was asleep. I had to be responsible for all of that. And so I can just remember if a fly moved, I was, so intense. And it was then that as my birthday came that morning when I was on patrol and on night watch, that it hit me. It says, "What are you doing?" And it became more of a reality, like, you may not ever make it back home ever again. The reality of me being a Marine, the reality of me being willing to do what I had to do. And so when I was getting ready to go into the Marine Corps back in 1990, this was the 2 months before I went in, I believe it was, or a month before I went in. There was the beginning of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And our president, George Bush, at the time ordered all service members to go to Iraq. And so in boot camp, just going back for a few minutes, the drill instructors would tell us every single day to see if they could break us. Young men, you're going to go to combat. You're going to go to war. And they would tell us these words, and you're going to die. That's what they was telling us every single day. And so, and they were trying to prepare us for what we were getting ready to go forward. And simply, if they could break us in boot camp, we would not be able to become United States Marines.
Did you have any experiences? I mean, you just mentioned a very vivid, intense, you know, scenario that you're living with while you're over there. Of if an Iraqi soldier comes too close, it's kill or be killed. I mean, that really stands out. Did you have any experiences where that was kind of tested and pushed, or where that looked pretty tense?
The answer is yes. And so this is why, though my MOS was administrative field and then became an operations specialist, I still had to go to the front line. I still had to support and things of that nature. And so those were things that are reality as a Marine that I had to experience at a very young age, and my fellow Marines also. And so from that experience and from that, I would say Memorial Day, as is soon to come, tends to be a very challenging, difficult day for me. Dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the memory. I don't feel guilty or responsible, but the memory of my fellow Marines who did not make it back, but I was one of the ones that did. I'm grateful, I'm honored, but I always take out the time, especially on Memorial Day, to kind of get in a dark space, honor them, honor their families, shed some tears and show my respect. And then I have to kind of get out of that space so that I can not stay in that dark space and continue forward, living my life with honor and with the respect and gratitude that I'm still here, I still have purpose, and also showing my respect to the Marines that did make it back home.
Great answer. Really appreciate that. How do you feel you had changed when you came back from your first deployment, or from your second deployment, or from after those experiences? How do you feel those experiences have changed you in the immediate term?
I say it made me to, it caused me to look at life from a different perspective and have, I think when you, at some point when you're such at a young age, you don't seem to have no fear. You are willing and daring to just about do anything without thinking about it. Adrenaline and all these other things. But then when you have life experiences and you have experiences of life and death situations, it causes you to value things differently, and it also gives you a great appreciation to live and to have a purpose to live and a cause. So those deployments helped me to see those things. In addition to that, it also caused me, because I saw different dynamics of cultures as well, it made me more well-rounded. It gave me different perspectives. And so from all of those places I got a chance to go to as well, I got a chance to experience different cultures. I got a chance to experience different foods and different ways of lives. And so it helped to make me a greater person, a greater perspective, and it made me more well-rounded. I would say for me, as a young man growing up, I initially saw things from a black person's perspective or a white person's perspective, black and white kind of say, I always say. But when I traveled to see the world, it gave me a more worldview, and it made me a person that has great respect and love for all of humanity, not just for one group of people, but I just absolutely love people. And then that experience of being exposed to boot camp and in the military, in the Marine Corps, we say we're all green. We're not white, we're not black, we're not brown. We say we're all green. And then if you're black, they say we were the dark green.
That's funny. That actually leads really nicely into a question that I love to ask. And this can apply to deployments and tense situations, but this can also apply to, really your entire military experience. Something I'm always interested in military experience is humor, and the way that humor is used to, either diffuse a tense situation or what kind of jokes did, or maybe something you can repeat, or I don't know if you can with all of them, but what was the humor like with your squad mates, with your friends in the on your deployments, with your friends back, in garrison? What was your experience of humor like in the Marine Corps?
Oh wow. The Marine Corps kind of instills in us, and they try to make us think and believe that we are superior. The Marine Corps tries to make us think that we are a bunch of bad behinds. I wanted to say something else, but I'm on camera. So I'm trying to be as nice as I can here. And the Marine Corps tries to instill in us that there's no Army, there's no Navy, there's none of those other things, that we're superior to everybody. And that, the Marine Corps jokes are, we don't die, we just go to hell and we multiply. And this is the kind of concept and mindset that they want you to have. And then amongst one another, the jokes and the egos, trying to prove who was the baddest. And then and some jokes also, because we are young men, we are trying to go after the young ladies all around the world and the other branches of service, especially the Air Force girls. So those were a lot of different jokes and humors. Some things I could say loud, some things I can't, because some of those things are still happening even in 2025.
Well, I'm glad the jokes are still going.
Yes.
And then you mentioned food as well. Traveling all over the world and experiencing new cultures. I mean, any food stand out to you?
I'm going to say, wow, Hawaiian, Hawaii, the food there in the Great Aloha was absolutely phenomenal. The locals, the cultures, the luau's, the barbecue pigs at the luau's in Hawaii. And in Hawaii, every meal was always with rice. They love rice in Hawaii. That was a different experience for me, all the meals. I also am going to say, when I had the joy of going to Phuket, Thailand, the exotic fish that I had and the delicacies that I had there. Also, the experiences and the food and the cleanliness I recall of Singapore. Singapore was such a clean place that if you chew some gum and put it on the sidewalk, you probably could get arrested in Singapore then, and probably could still be the same. But I had some great exotic foods in Singapore as well. And then also the experience that I had in the Middle East, of the different delicacies in Jordan that I experienced and other places, were just more than just burgers and fries and pizza. It really broadened me and gave me a willing to try just about anything. So I really am grateful for those experiences also.
Great. Do you have a favorite NRE?
Oh, my favorite NRE? It was spaghetti.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I had spaghetti. So I love Italian food still to this day. And so that spaghetti was the stuff for me. Yeah, spaghetti.
Nice. Shout out for spaghetti NRE. Well, that's great. That's all really great. How long did you spend in the Marine Corps?
I was in the Marine Corps for a total of 10 years on active duty, from September of 1990 until December of 2000 with an honorable discharge.
And so when you left the Marine Corps, what was your next step in life?
It was, I was married at the time, and it was trying to make a decision on what was going to be the next move for me, and also to be able to continue to be able to provide for my family as a whole. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had just got out of, I was a sergeant and I was on recruiting duty. So my last assignment was shifting from recruiting duty out of the Marine Corps and going back into the civilian sector. And I was able to do that in the city of Birmingham, Alabama. And initially, I started a cleaning business, and where I was cleaning commercial properties, residential properties, and just a variety of things that I was able to do. And then also was working part-time at other places like fast food restaurants, and just trying to figure out what was going to be my niche and what was going to be the things that I would enjoy, and also to be able to be an excellent provider.
What was that transition period like? I'm just thinking, I mean, you joined the Marine Corps, 17, off to boot camp at 18. That's your whole adult life up to this point.
Uh-huh.
Was the transition challenging? Did it feel liberating in some ways? What were some of the, dynamics of that for you?
I think for me, what made the transition at that point in my life, at 28, 29 years of age, what made it a decision that I made to depart from the Marine Corps was my last assignment was recruiting duty. And recruiting duty caused me to interact with the local community more. It caused me to interact with business owners, educators, with parents, with high schoolers. So it caused me to be, more around the civilian population and learning those different dynamics. And so I think it helped me to transition easier back into civilian life, having 3 years of interacting with the local community as a whole.
That makes sense. So eventually you end up in Miami, working here at the Miami Military Museum.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
Well, when you're in the Marine Corps, you don't know all of the things that are available after the Marine Corps. And so earlier in the course of this year, I found out about something called the Marine Corps League, which I had no clue it even existed. And in addition to that, I found out about something else called the Young Marines. So the Marine Corps League has a group of former Marines of all ages, men and women. And because of the Marine Corps, we say these words, Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis. And what that means is we're always faithful. And we say faithful to our country, faithful to one another, and then faithful to our God, our higher being of other choice. And we say, Semper Fi, always faithful. And we really, esprit de corps, we really believe that as a whole. And we are like a band of brothers while in the Corps and for the rest of our lives. And so the Marine Corps League had a meeting here at the Miami-Dade Military Museum. And I found out about I wanted to find out about the Marine Corps League. I became a member of that. And they had their meeting here. And I had no clue that here in Miami-Dade, that we had such a phenomenal facility as this museum that is here that shows about such great history from World War I all the way to current wars, men and women who have served here in South Florida. And so I count it as a joy and as an honor from coming to a meeting to now being a part of the team and being a part of the staff, doing community relations, almost like a recruiter all over again, that I get a chance to engage with the local community and beyond, going to high schools, universities, get a chance to share with them about the Marine Corps, the rich history of those that have served before me here, get a chance to give worldwide tours here at the facility to share that information and other things that I have the opportunity to do. I'm overjoyed, and it's such an honor to continue to serve.
Yeah, that actually leads really nicely into something I wanted to ask you. Is I think I'm still thinking about it myself, so the question might come across as a little bit vague. But this idea of preserving military history, and what that means to you, and that really, and you connected with service, which I found really interesting. Can you say a little bit more about what that means to you? This is the history, the community, service, how all of these things intersect for you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So for me, not everyone is going to join the military. Not everyone is going to serve our country in the perspective of the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Marine Corps. Not everyone is going to do it. Not everyone even understands what it means to serve in our in these perspectives. And so we're grateful for whatever one individual choose to do with their lives. And then there are many that will. And so this opportunity here, such as a group of individuals at high schools that are in ROTC programs, it allows for us to be able to share the story of what their possibly uncles or great-grandfathers have accomplished, and the history that is here, and what, against all odds, of what men and women have been able to do from right here in Miami-Dade County, in Broward County, etc. And also being able to share with young black boys and black girls here of the accomplishments that men and women, African Americans, have been able to do, and to be able to showcase and see them, and men and women that look just like myself, and they can see themselves being able to do what they didn't think they could do. And so being able to share this with the next generation and the next generation, and to be able to represent in the community and to be a good steward. We have a saying in the Marine Corps, once a Marine, always a Marine. I believe that, but I'm no longer a sergeant in the Marine Corps, but I still have enough pride and enough responsibility to conduct myself as someone that is still in uniform, still serving, and then also having the ability and the humility to honor and to respect those that are currently serving, and to thank them for their service and their willingness to, when you take that oath, you're willing to serve and defend, you're willing to die for this country. And that is a great oath to take and a great joy and honor. And it's not something that's easy. And freedom is not free. It comes on many, many sacrifices. So I take this very serious. I take it with great joy, great honor to be able to be a part of this, to share history, share what's going on currently, and also it's a way in which you can inspire and to give hope to others that if I can do it, you can do it. If she can do it, if he can do it, we all can do it. And so that's the joy of being able to do this.
That's wonderful. Are you a part of any veterans organizations like American Legion, VFW, anything like that?
The answer is yes. I'm a part of the VFW that is recently became a member down in Homestead, Florida. I'm a part of, and we actually have a meeting on tomorrow evening on Thursday. And so it's a joy to be able to be a part of that, to be able to connect with, once again, men and women of all ages, many sometimes much older than me, being able to learn from them, hear how history has changed, how different from Vietnam from Iraq, from Afghanistan, and just being able to share all these different stories, dynamics, and it's just phenomenal. And I get so much from being a part of organizations such as that.
If you had a message you'd like to share, or is there a message you'd like to share with future generations or people who are outside of the military sphere about service, about the military, just any kind of sort of final message or closing message?
I would say for those that have served and those that have not served, many times, especially men and women who have been off to combat or have just served in the military, sometimes can be very misunderstood or can be afraid of them because of mental health issues, substance abuse, drug and alcohol, homelessness, or dynamics of things that could have happened or could have occurred. I want to encourage community, our nation. I want to encourage humanity to look and have an honor, a respect for men and women who have served. We're not looking for a handout, but we're looking for a hand up. Many are. Show your respect, honor them for their willingness of sacrifice and their commitments, and try to do your best to love humanity, love one another, and show respect to that next generation, to that current graduating class of 2025 and 26 and thereafter. I want to say to them as a whole that there's nothing that you cannot do, and that there's no one that can stop you, and that the only person that can stop you is yourself. And so believe on yourself, believe in your dreams, believe in your vision, have a purpose, have a destiny, and know that you can do it, you can make it. I want to encourage you to push forward. I want to encourage those that have served, that have men and women that are your neighbors, whether on social media or in your community. Don't forget to check on one another. Don't forget to, if you're in a great place, I want to encourage you to try to strengthen someone that might be in a dark place, and to give back and be there for one another. And let's not leave anyone behind, even after you have served. Try to give back. And that is what life is about. When you make it, always reach back to try to help someone else and give someone else a hand up, not a handout.
An excellent message. Is there anything in this interview that we have not covered that you would like to share?
I just want to say it has been such a joy and such an honor. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
And I would say to all those that are currently serving, from the sentiments of my lips and my hearts, thank you for your service currently and your willingness to do that. And I speak good things over your family, your dependents, your loved ones. And I speak peace and blessings and good things to humanity. And I say, I love you because love wins.
Well, that's a wonderful closing. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
It's my honor.